Would you lug this bag home if you were in her shoes? The woman was bathing in the river, enjoying the cool water against her skin, when something unusual caught her eye, a $100 bill floating right in front of her. She blinked, barely believing it, and then noticed more bills drifting on the water's surface. Her gaze shifted toward the shore, where several large bags sat untouched. Heart pounding, she glanced around. If this money was truly unclaimed, it could change her life. Moving cautiously, she waded toward the canoe, hoping to haul the bags aboard without drawing attention. But as she struggled, she realized it was too heavy. Just then, one of her companions emerged from the trees. She stiffened. There was no way she could carry this fortune out alone. Thinking fast, she gestured for him to come closer. "We have to move fast," she whispered, leading him to the riverbank. The two huddled together, whispering about what to do next. They agreed on one thing: they had to get rid of their other companion. Mark, if it was just the two of them, they could split the money evenly. But before they could act, Mark appeared. His eyes flicked between them and the bags of money, quickly understanding what was happening. $8 million, he murmured as he counted the stacks. Excitement flickered across his face. But unlike the others, he hesitated. "We need to be smart about this," the woman said, but Mark's expression darkened. "We should turn it in," he said firmly. "We don't know where this came from. It could be dangerous." The woman's face hardened. "That's not an option." Her companion nodded in agreement. "Fine, you don't have to take any of it. But you'd better keep your mouth shut." Mark looked between them, his jaw tightening. Finally, he exhaled sharply. "I want nothing to do with this," he muttered, turning to leave. With him gone, the woman and her remaining ally got to work. They loaded the heavy bags onto the canoe, securing them tightly before pushing off. She reminded him, "We need to be discreet. We'll paddle to an isolated area, no mistakes." But just as they started gliding away, a group of tourists appeared on the shore. The woman's heart leaped into her throat. Among them, several uniformed police officers stood chatting. Then disaster struck. A few bills slipped from the canoe, drifting onto the water's surface. She lunged forward, desperately trying to scoop them up. A tourist frowned, watching her. "Everything okay?" Thinking quickly, she forced a laugh. "Yeah, the paddle hit my hand, just cooling it down." The tourist nodded, seeming satisfied, and turned away as soon as the crowd moved on. She and her companion paddled faster, putting as much distance between them and the shore as possible. Only when they reached a safer spot did she realize something was wrong. One of the 4 bags was missing. Her face twisted in frustration. "You tied the rope, didn't you?" She snapped at her companion. He shrugged helplessly. "It must have fallen off when we hit the waves." Her mind raced. They couldn't afford any more mistakes. If they wanted to transport the rest safely, they needed Mark back. Meanwhile, Mark had ventured deep into the jungle, determined to put the money and his former companions behind him. But then, he stumbled upon a man lying on the ground, barely clinging to life. Mark crouched beside him, offering his canteen. "Here, drink this." The man's lips parted as he sipped the water. His breath ragged. He gave Mark a weak but knowing look. Mark had no idea. This was the true owner of the $8 million.